Hi, welcome back to Gotta Be Me podcast. We're so happy to be here again with you today. We're your hosts. My name is Sophia Benyon, and this is my cousin, Peyton Benyon.
Welcome back to our channel, everybody. If you're new here, please don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and we'll appreciate it so very much.
This winter, we had a video that some clips of it went viral. Actually went viral more than once. I meant to calculate how many views we had across the platforms, but I think it was close to 20 million between Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube. And
it all happened in a very short space of time. Like 16 million of them were in 2 days.
Yeah,
you know?
Which was crazy. And then, it went viral 2 separate times. And it went viral when we had these beautiful girls on. JL, Duty, Kalea. We had we didn't have Kalea last time. Kalea is their little sister, and we asked her to come this time. We're super glad she's here. Please welcome them back. We're so happy to have them. And we want to talk about that video. What happened? Why was it viral? Why was it such a big deal? Why was everybody talking about it? Because everybody was talking. And I want to let you all know, we want to talk about what we did about it. Are you laughing at my accent?
No.
I'm turning into an Indiana person. No. I don't even talk like that. Anyway, so let's see. The first time it went viral was like around Christmas time. Did you all know it was going viral, or y'all were just chilling? Like,
no, I didn't know.
I remember you texted and said like something about 10K views. And I was like, oh, that's so great. And then like the views started getting higher and higher.
Yeah, we started off like 10,000. Oh, that's really good. But then it really exploded, huh?
For sure.
How did the comments make you all feel that the videos were getting? Because it was like, okay, it wasn't just comments, which there were, I don't want to exaggerate, I think hundreds of thousands of comments, but also a bunch of people making videos about us. And it was pretty negative. I'll just say it like that. I shouldn't say it all was, because it wasn't. It all was not negative. But there was a lot of negativity. Like, how did y'all feel?
I kind of expected there to be some negativity, but
How
I don't
come?
think not as much as like, I don't know, because of some of the stuff that we said, like about Black women and things like that. And some people don't. I don't know. I guess I thought, I don't know. I was like, yeah, some people are not going to like this. Just because of, the way we think or the... But I don't think it was like we were pushing it on them to be like that. It was just like...
We were just saying it like, it wasn't like, you have to do this.
Right. You all were not in attack mode at all.
I feel like it was a compliment because I don't think they really, they took it as like, don't wear wigs and all this stuff.
Right.
It was really just like, you're beautiful just the way you are.
I mean, that's how I felt when y'all were talking. I'm like, they're just trying to say something positive about us as Black women. And then it was interesting. It seemed like so many people felt attacked.
Yeah.
Like y'all were just jumping out of the camera and like
Lunging at them.
literally and tearing them down and saying, accusing them of, I don't even know. Like, a lot of people were defensive. Like, I do it. No, I don't just do it to be beautiful. I do it because I want and I can. And you know what else? I think some people had some interesting comments that were kind of legitimate. Somewhat. Because some people said, well, do they even know what they're talking about because they have white moms? Which was very interesting because it was Camille was here, right, that time. So it was the 5 of us talking. So Camille, me, and Peyton do have white moms. Okay, or what, white moms. What they call white in the world. But you all don't. And JL, like, you're probably like a little lighter skinned than I am. Duty, you're darker. Kalei, you're for sure darker. You all have 5 other siblings. And you all are literally every shade of the rainbow when it comes to skin colors. Like, from Micah to JL is just every shade of, skin tones. And I know, like, imagine if one of you girls had Micah's skin color, nobody would have been on the podcast saying, you got a white mama. But Micah got the same mama and daddy you got,
Yeah, right.
So that's super interesting. So your mom, her mom is white, right?
Her mom is white, and her dad is like black.
And then your dad is, well, they've probably seen your dad before. He's pretty dark too. But I thought that was super interesting. They were like, you don't know, you were raised by white women. And I was like, well, me, Camille, and Peyton were, but these 3 girls weren't.
I also thought it was interesting because a lot of people were commenting on celebrating the show. Like, these are all my children. It's interesting because, honestly, you would not necessarily be able to tell just from looks alone who's
was
got
mixed,
what.
yeah.
Right there, like, everybody up there is mixed. And I'm like, well, it'd be interesting if you actually found out who was and who wasn't. And just the diversity that is included within all of us.
Right. And I saw in some of the comments or people making videos, some of them were like the same color as us.
That's true, too.
And they're like hating, but like we're kind of the same skin
We're
tone.
kind
So
of the
what's
same.
they're like these biracial, this and that. I'm like,
Yeah, and I wish they would get it in their head that we were not attacking them at all. It was literally a compliment.
Absolutely.
Like-
I think some people felt put off because of the words, like you said.
Yeah.
I wish they knew. And I think
Yeah.
they can.
I think we could have said it different.
They're
for
like,
sure.
Of course, we
Dude,
could
you're
have
not-
worded it differently. But
I think people were offended about that, but I felt like we could get the point if we really wanted to,
And not just that, it pointed out what a sensitive topic this is. The way
Right.
a million people the way millions of people jumped up to look at it tells me.
It was
I
like
think-
one little comment too. It was
Right.
like a
It was-
little
it was a-
snippet, and people went. I was like, "Oh, you
I
don't say
think it
that
opens
much."
up the fact that there's a conversation that we need to have as a
sure.
community, and I think celebrating the struggle was a good pattern to show how to have that sort of a conversation.
Jill, you mentioned the word biracial, and we've been saying the word mixed over and over. And I think these are interesting words to talk about. On our podcast before, we've talked about the word even race and how, well, what even is race? Because there's only one human race. So racism is already, not only a social construct, but like it's a misconstruing of a problem that we have. Now there is the how did we say it? I forget the exact terminology. I felt very precise when I said it, but I'm not remembering it right now. But there is the working of racism, of course. But there is actually only one human race. So that you can't, like, it's something built up in people's minds, right? And I feel like the words biracial and mixed and even, what are some other words that people...
They said multi-ethnic. What else did we say? We said so many things up there.
Multicultural.
And yeah, it is interesting because everybody's multi-ethnic, everybody's multicultural, right? So
Especially in America. You're going to be hard put to it to find someone that is, and another thing they were saying in comments, these girls are not, I don't know if it's the word pure black that they said or...
They're not full black. I'm like, what's full black?
Is anybody full black in America?
I think you'd be hard put to it to find someone. You would be hard put to it to find someone in America that does not have white family somewhere. You know what I'm saying? And not just white family, but white ancestors. Like...
Yeah, and I had that question, like, what is full black to you all? Like, what is that?
And to me, the fact that you three girls are sitting there, all full sisters, and with your three shades, and with two black parents, whatever that means, that just brings up a question right there, which of course people didn't necessarily know that, but and they were talking about our hair, which I thought was so interesting because you got like me, JL, even like Kalea too have more straight hair, but Doody's is pretty curly. I would put a solid 3C4A, right?
What would you classify your hair as?
Probably like
4Z.
It's not quite that curly, but it's pretty curly.
it's probably like a 4A.
And Peyton's at least a 4B. We both think it's 4C, but she's had...
It's the 4C hair police. They're everywhere.
Really, people are like, oh, it's not real 4C hair, But
Which
it's super cool.
Which I get. There's different ways to take care of all sorts of hair. But,
And then people say, you don't know the struggle. Well, some of us don't and some of us do, but everybody's struggle is a little bit different. And we're all just somewhere on the spectrum of having ancestry of African Americans, which is what we talked about celebrating the struggle. So then your uncle wrote the thing that we memorized. Do y'all want to tell about that? How we got that together?
What really stuck out to me was how many different names we are called. Like there's so many names. Like you could be like, I don't know if y'all watched it, but like Haley Grace. Like she I would look at her and be like, I could tell she has something in her, but it's
You're not sure.
Yeah.
She could have done what they would have called passing, which was another term that people applied to us, but she could have passed for white, which is another interesting thing. You were talking to me about this the other day. Why does passing mean passing for white?
why does it
automatically mean?
Say I'm passing for black,
Yeah.
Like you never see the conversation in reverse at all. So that's interesting as far as like being in America and the conversations that we have here. Yeah.
But you were saying like there's everything from Haley. You were talking about Haley Grace to like Joshua or Esther or whatever. And then there's names for all of it, right?
Yeah. Like,
what were some of them?
Darky, blurple,
yellow bone, white boy,
Mulatto, quadroon,
octoroon.
There was a whole list, and we went back and forth with them. We were listing them out, right?
and just all the different ways that we are taught. I know we've talked about the Willie Lynch letter before, but the different ways that we're taught to just hate each other and to be divisive among each other. And there's not been necessarily a real leader to come and give us an identity. And we talked about the importance of identity. You had a part about identity, didn't you?
Do you remember your part still?
It was talking about the nature of identity carries with the demand to be both confined and defined.
Mm-hmm.
And that was, this is all a law of humanity.
Mm-hmm.
And I forgot.
You're good.
No, you're good.
It's a lot.
As you think about it, what you were saying was in response to this kind of like skit part that some of us did. Me and Peyton had a part of that, where we were kind of sarcastically talking about the dilemma of being.
Yeah, we're so confused, and
Yeah.
how do we ever know? You know.
And don't limit us because we don't want to be limited, and we are confused, but we're not really confused. We don't want to be confused. And then your part was like, okay, the thing is, to be able to be defined, you have to, like, in its nature, there has to be boundaries, right?
Right.
What does that part mean to you? Did you like your part that you got?
Yeah, I really liked it. I really liked it.
It felt like you got it.
You want me to? I can pull it up. I'll pull it up.
I think I remember it.
You remember it?
That carries with the demand will come behind definedness, law of humanity. Still, the principal necessity, a bare and primary image cannot be confined. No, see, I'm forgetting it.
You could just say what you thought of.
I really
What it
liked
meant to
Samanda's part, and I think yours, when something about saying we got to agree on something as a community, like as to what our identity is and who we actually are.
What did that mean to you? Like, what was it about that you're like, oh, I like that?
It just made me think about the video that went viral, kind of, because like people were so, I don't know how to say this.
It was like everybody in the Black community had something to say about
Right.
it, felt like, right? I mean, we got a like from Viola Davis of all the things in the whole world.
Did
Did
y'all
I not
know
tell you that?
Yeah, you did.
I did.
You didn't tell me.
We did on Instagram. Viola
crazy.
Davis liked that reel.
That's crazy.
The Viola Davis. Like, it felt like everybody in the Black community was talking
And
about
some were saying, it wasn't Black. Some were like, yeah. And so it was like, are we going to agree on something? What is Black?
as a group. Like, not just one person or a couple people holding the definition, right? Yeah. Diddy, did you find your part?
I did. The one part that stuck out to me was like, this is one of the reasons why we're all named at some point.
Okay.
Because human interaction requires clarity of identity. Like, I can't think.
Why is it important that you have a name?
Where's that part?
Because that's part of who you are.
What would happen if you didn't have a name?
Then you would be nothing. That's not true. You wouldn't be nothing, but like,
How would we describe you, Like, I can't
like
even imagine
I
myself
mean,
without
like
a
in
name.
the most practical sense, like how would anyone get your attention? Like how do we know
big
what?
Black woman, what are you doing?
There's a lot of those.
Well, and like, I try to think, like, I can describe you in every way. But to the people that really know you, all I have to say is Dudi or Alicia. And they get an image, they get a personality, they get memories. Like, so much comes with your name. And if you have a community of people that are just floating around out there without a solidified name or identity, then you're very hard put to it to describe them. And we get the confusion.
And all running around with different definitions of, what is this?
Exactly.
What is Black? Because that's
Exactly.
the big thing that's going on right now.
Exactly. And that was what the name of our whole presentation was. What is Black? Because that's what we tried to get into.
And that's the kind of thing, like, when you say Black, I think of, like, a ton of stuff.
Yes.
It's like the same thing.
But if as soon as there's not somebody to say what that is, and like you said from Samanda's part and your part, somebody to set that identity as a community, it's just confusion. Yeah. Kalea, did you have any thoughts about your part? Do you still remember it?
Yeah.
Did it make sense to you?
Yeah, it did. She talked to me about it. She prayed.
Let her look at her part and see if there was like any part of it to her that was like, oh, I liked that part.
Claire, the part that she had got to like cut us off of our conversation that we were having about confusion. We were talking about it, blah 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 blah, and then whenever
And then
Claire
she
came
had
in,
like the answer.
yeah, like
You
she
started
had like
answering the
whole
question.
answer, and we all stood up whenever it's your part. So I feel like you had a really powerful part in the presentation.
And you said it well.
You did.
I said we are Black.
You said we are Black. Thank you for saying that. what did that mean to you after that whole presentation? Like, because, I mean, when we did our last podcast, we were talking about We Are Black. But saying it after that whole presentation, how did that change how you thought about it? So we consider ourselves Black, right? We've been considering ourselves Black. Maybe not maybe we haven't understood that all our lives, but at least lately. And maybe you have. I don't know if I have, but not all your life. Like, it just wasn't always a thought. Mm-hmm. But like, I'm just saying, after saying all those things about what is Black, because that's the question we're asking, did it mean something else to you when you said we are Black?
It was a lot to like take in and to like think about. Mm-hmm. But I understood some of it, yeah. Mm-hmm.
What was there a part that stuck out to you? You said Samanda's part. I remember that.
Yeah, and I feel like Peyton said something about, or maybe it was Nye, something about the agreeing part. Like, how can we resolve
fully
this?
Acknowledge what we have failed to fully acknowledge ourselves. Like, how can we fully acknowledge something when we fail to fully acknowledge ourselves?
Right. How can other people acknowledge us and when we haven't even said this is what we are, right?
Mm-hmm. And then Jesse talked about that's why we get taken advantage of because
as a community.
Because Brother Steph was talking on Sunday, and he said on Wednesday on history class he was talking about how it's actually a spirit that's trying to erase Black history because if you don't let these girls speak, they would technically be considered the same thing as Malcolm X was.
Right.
So if you tell these girls you may not speak on the Black experience, blah, blah, and I get that there's different parts that we can speak about. I'm not going to speak to the experience of growing up in the South because I'm not a Black person that grew up in the South. I'm not going to speak to the experience of a Black person that grew up in the 60s because I didn't grow up in the 60s. So if people are like frustrated because we spoke in a space where we aren't to be, then that's completely understandable to me. But to say that
they can't talk about the Black experience because they're not Black
would erase Malcolm X from saying anything. We may no longer hear him.
And not just Malcolm X. There are so many.
Frederick Douglass was the same as us.
Booker T. Washington. So many jazz musicians, like many were either mixed like me, Camille Payton are, or had a mixed.
Rosa Parks was light.
She was pretty light.
I started looking up pictures of Black people because I was listening to all these people talking. I said, where did we get this from that the Black community is only 4C hair and
they kept on saying that. They're like, they're not Black. They don't even have 4C hair. Like, so every Black person has to have 4C hair to be considered Black. Like, what?
Yeah, I think that's a really interesting conversation. And I wouldn't want to be defensive. I would rather just wanting to throw questions in the air and state the way that I feel. But I was just thinking about it. I was like, and if we start erasing all these people, we'll no longer have.
Right. And it was an interesting conversation to have around Black History Month because we're talking about all these characters in Black history, and it's white. It's like, wait, they're mixed. They were light skinned. They were biracial. They were multi-ethnic. And they're prominent figures in Black history. And so, and we have had darker skinned Black women on our podcast, and we are planning to do it again. But we just...
Sister King had such a great idea. She said, y'all need to confront a lot of the comments that were said, and you need to get some of our friends to interview us about some of the comments that were made. So, yeah.
And we love to do that and intend to. But, I mean, it just happened to be us three, who are cousins, talking to these three girls who actually are not mixed. Whatever that means, mixed.
Because
mixed.
Like,
what did Anaya say? She said mixed. Mixed with what? We are Black, right? We're African American. And we laid down and Brother Steph helped us to lay down a super clear definition. I mean, I'm asking these girls how it helped and shaped their mind, but it helped and shaped my mind. Mm-hmm. And I think for Peyton too, to just, as we read the whole thing, and please go back and watch it. It was amazing. But we said, we are the descendants of those who were
forcibly removed from Africa and brought to this land in chains as property without rights.
Yes, we are the nation within the nation. We're the country's country, into which all former slaves and some indigenous people and immigrants have not just come to, but have been formed into.
But we contain all of that inside of us. And we contain the blood of indigenous people. We contain the blood of immigrants, of Irish people, of Germans. We have all that in our community.
Inside of the Black community. And to try to make it one thing,
it's dangerous, I think.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And it actually erases who we are.
Right.
It makes us, it erases some of the beauty of our story. Mm-hmm. And some of the comments were mean.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm not
I
even...
saw some of them. I was like, they were like saying something about Uncle Tom, and like.
I think some of them were just saying stuff
I think
like
some
that because they were just
they felt
feeling
attacked.
I think they felt hurt.
So then
Yeah,
they
because
really,
like some of the stuff they were saying, I was like, I was kind of like, I was tickled, but then I was like, wait, what? Like,
I was
why
hurt.
would you?
I couldn't look. I was like, I'm not looking at my phone for
Yeah,
this
my
week.
dad was like, y'all need to stop looking at the comments.
Yeah, before we get too sad, because we were pretty... It was kind of... I was like, we
I stopped
I
never
know. I was
meant
pierced.
that.
I was like, oh yeah, they're gonna be like, oh yeah, let's go. And I was like, oh.
All they ever meant was to encourage and bless somebody,
Yeah.
right? But we're so glad we did that. It was so fun.
Oh yeah.
When we were memorizing it, like, okay, we had like 1 week to memorize this whole thing, okay?
Less than that.
Less than a week when we had our
I
parts.
thought it was like straight.
And we had like a few practices. And it was like going really slow. We were like trying to get our parts and it was like awkward. And we were all trying to say, we are African American together. We were like, we are. Like
We are
African American.
and it was giving not black.
It was not powerful. It was not a powerful thing at all. But then one morning, what?
Dude was about to say something.
I'm sorry.
Wait, how did you know?
Because she was looking at you.
And then he's like,
No, go ahead, Diddy.
I loved it how we could just like, cause you know how like programs normally you have to like be programmed to do
Just
like,
say the words,
this,
right?
and you're standing there like, it's just a memorization. It wasn't like that with this program at all. Like, for me, and I think for everybody else, we felt what we were saying, like, and we were like free. Like you could, like if you watched it, like we were all. I don't know if you call it chilling. Like we were like definitely.
We kind of were. Like we were just up there.
Exactly.
hanging out.
Naya had like Angel Reese's juice up
She
there.
really did. She really did. And she took a whole selfie over there in the corner. I remember when it came together. It was one time, it was one of our last practices, and they were like, make this your conversation.
And Dea,
that's when
remember
it-
Dea's
like that.
idea with the desk?
Yeah.
Okay, so at first we did not have the desk there. And then when we got the desk, and we're like, we need to make it like classroom style.
It
like,
made it
we're
to where
having
we
a
could actually talk to
conversation.
each other. Because before we were just like saying it, and then when we got the desk, it was like
We were sitting down, looking
we
at
looked-
each other.
yeah,
You came
It's
and sat on-
definitely harder standing up and just
To
addressing
relax,
a
yeah.
crowd rather than just having a conversation with.
And I thought it was good that we addressed the crowd at the end, like when Kalea started talking, because it was powerful. It was like, this is what we're trying to say. But the beginning part was like this back and forth storytelling, sarcastic interchange, and it really helped us.
Jesse's last part was good.
Jesse did really good.
yeah. We
Okay.
know.
He's so vain though.
He's so vain, okay?
Jesse's
Jesse
so
is a
vain.
good speaker, I'm going to say it. And he had kind of like the best part, and it was like the end part, and it was really powerful, and he said it really well, okay?
Okay, which we are intelligent people when we gave him that part, so.
Yeah, okay?
Pat
so,
us.
pat us, because we gave him that part. But he tried to come up to us later and be like, girls, what do you think was the best part of celebrating the struggle, okay?
Yeah!
You know he just wanted us to tell him, oh, your part, Jesse. So we were all like, I don't know, it was all pretty good. I liked that, everything pretty much that we did. Because he did not need us to be like,
Yeah.
he's so big. But
Someone
it was really
asked
good.
us what our favorite part was, and me, Titus, and Isaac were both like, we stood. That was the best part.
I was
But
glad
y'all
that
represented
y'all came up
a
there.
lot because y'all's color, like y'all are all super like.
Right. And like it's neat because Isaac was probably the fairest person up there, most light skinned person up there, lighter than JL.
But his
He
hair.
has blonde hair. Wait, first of all, his hair's blonde though. It's blonde, and I'm talking about blonde.
He has like a fro.
It's curlier than
yeah,
mine.
yeah.
He
It's
is
tight.
for sure 4C.
It
Can't
is.
nobody change my mind about that.
It is zigzag coils, like I can't move it when I grab it type.
Yeah.
Type.
So-
I don't
so-
even know.
So you can't. Okay, so like, what are you
It's
going to
really
say to him? Because
disconcerting.
he has all the hair struggles, but none of the skin.
Right,
and it's just
exactly.
different. It's all different, and we would never say one person's struggle is exactly the same.
Right.
But for us to all fall under an umbrella of the descendants of an African slave in America, whose cultural capital. I like to start like cultural capital. Whose cultural capital. Did I do it again? Has been stolen and taken advantage of and spread throughout the world. We actually
Then
also
looks
said,
back and asks,
why can't these people get it together? You know, and we had friends asking us literally after your video went viral and there were so many comments. We had friends asking us like, why are all the black people hating on you all black people in the comments? Like, I'm talking about white friends. Like, what's going on in the black community
And
that's
we were
happening?
Like, yeah. and I remember Steph Times, he's like, oh, slavery taught us to do that.
Mm-hmm.
And it really did. And I think that's crazy. People that think the effects are gone are out of their minds.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what they're talking about.
I do not either. And I would be so wrong to deny the effects of colorism and, that
Texturism.
Yeah, and that some people have an advantage and that the house slaves, were treated better than the field slaves. I'm not trying to say none of that happened. I'm not trying to say we're not still affected by that. But what I am trying to say is this is obviously number one, a conversation needs to be had, because did you see how many feelings were in those comments? How many hundreds of thousands of comments there were? It's not only a conversation that needs to be had, but it's an issue that needs to be resolved. Because until we can come together and agree on an identity, we'll just keep picking at each other. And while we're busy picking at each other, people will be taking our musicians and taking our art and taking our beauty and taking our skincare and taking our just everything that we produce, that we're good at, that we shine at, taking it from out of our community and not giving us the money back, because we don't have, nobody's doing that in other communities, because they have a set definition of who they are. They have a set leader. And they won't let you take their things. They have a boundary. They have a country. We're a country. We're a nation within the nation. We're the country's country. That's what the thing said.
It's difficult.
It's hard for us to do that, but it has to be done.
And I think people could maybe disagree still after this, and I wouldn't mind somebody disagreeing, like, no, you still shouldn't have said that, or no, you're not black. And I think that's interesting. I think that's I don't know if it's up for debate, but it's definitely up for conversation. But I think if you would listen to the definition that we gave, that Brother Steph wrote about who black people are, and more specifically, because there's black broad, right? We talked about that before. Black is broad. That's the people from Jamaica, the people from Haiti. Black, it's a big. But then African Americans, those who have African ancestry and were slaves on American soil, that's a different thing. And I don't think anyone could take us out of that experience, because that's just true. That's what's in my ancestry. That's what's in our ancestry. The family tree, when I look at it, that's what it says.
And there's a commonality that brings us together, that no matter who we are, had we been born 100 years ago, we would have been forced to identify as black. We would have been forced to identify as black, because they would not permit, they said there was the one drop of blood rule. You cannot say we're not still affected by that. And yes, it's different per person, but we all share that common history. If you would have tried to pass jail, you would have been in trouble in the South.
I don't think jail could have ever passed.
I don't either. I just said her name because she's
the most lightest green-eyedest one here.
Yeah.
But are your eyes green?
Yeah, they change colors sometimes. Well, they used to change more.
Were they ever blue? Size?
They used to change with what I wore, but they're more just straight green now.
What color were your mom's?
They have like a sunflower in the middle of them.
I don't know.
They're black.
They look brown to me.
You see?
So see,
me and Phil's eyes.
Yeah, my dad's eyes are brown too. So
both your parents have brown eyes.
Yeah,
both your parents are, considered. And I'm just bringing this conversation up again. But okay, so your mom's mixed. So then, what does that make y'all? Are we gonna start giving another name for you all?
3/4 mix.
Okay, and that's where quadroon and all those names come in.
And we're going to enter back into the Jim Crow era.
And why can't we just plainly say that we are all black?
We all share that ancestry. We all share. There's a commonality to the struggle. It's not I'm not saying everybody struggles the same, but there's a struggle that belongs to everyone.
We all have a common struggle within our own struggles.
Exactly.
But I wish that we would figure something out, because struggling for the rest of our lives is not going to help.
That's not it.
I think Uncle Steve was saying something before celebrating the struggle. He's like, yeah, we're celebrating the struggle and everything, but we're going to have to stop struggling at some point and just find a resolution or solution to the problem.
I mean, whenever Dr. King was killed, it's been almost 60 years ago. He said toward the end of his life, he was tired of marching. And we're still
You'd have
marching.
thought we'd have got somewhere by
I know.
That's what he said, didn't he?
Marching.
Like, I love doing everything I can to participate in the struggle, but at some point we need to come to an answer.
Right.
We need a leader who can help us set those boundaries, build that identity.
But we have to have people who are willing to follow.
That's true.
That's a deep
Well,
point
first
right
you have to
there.
have a really good leader, like a
Of course,
strong.
for sure.
But then after that, because
People who can just support and
follow
behind,
and agree
That's
and
another
because I
problem.
think that's another lack. I won't get into that, but I'm not even gonna say lack. I'm just gonna say back to
we might go viral again on that
we'll
one.
get on that one. But I
we
just
talked
think back
about
to the Lily
one.
Lynch letter. It was another thing that was done to break down our community, teach us not to know how to follow our leaders. And we had a couple good ones, and they kept on getting killed.
Mm-hmm.
They really did.
That's what always happens. You do anything good in this world, and they try to kill you. Like, it's crazy.
But it seems like they're specifically scared of the Black community.
Mm-hmm.
Your dad talked about that when we talked about the Kendrick podcast.
I was about to say something about that.
Yeah, go ahead.
Like, now that Kendrick is saying stuff, like, he's out. Maybe he is in danger of getting killed because he's saying truth. And once you say truth, it's over. Like, same thing with Trump. Like, he was starting to say things that people didn't like, so then somebody tried to kill him. That always happens. And I feel like that may be a part of why some people don't talk, because they're too scared that I'm just going to get hurt or
They
shut
know
down.
the truth, but they can't. It makes
That
sense.
courage.
They Dr. King.
Kendrick did it.
But if we
though.
have each other, though.
Can we say about how halftime was just
Oh,
so...
my.
Yeah, it was so good. Like, I was screaming.
I was screaming. You said that in the most unscreamable way you could.
I was screaming.
I told Payne, but my children's children shall watch this.
Yeah. But the thing is, like, there was so many, like, symbols in there. Like,
Like,
stuff.
meaning, it was so crazy.
It was insane.
So
Like,
layered.
Rihanna, like, I'm talking about Rihanna and Usher, and then, like, it was just, like,
It was a
entertainment, you know?
performance, yeah.
Right.
But, like, Kendrick might have been there to maybe entertain, but, like, it was more than that. Like, he was saying something.
I don't even know if entertaining was his main goal.
No,
I
I don't
wonder
think
if
it
the
was.
message was first
I was
his
going to
goal.
say, yeah. His
Yeah.
I feel like your dad
The
even
message,
said
yeah,
something
for sure.
about that. Like, that was kind of more what he was trying to do.
Yeah.
That was
I wish I
super
would have at least been able to sit on top of a light pole. Like,
I just wanted to be
something.
Somebody said that man is winning in life.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah.
Or been one of those people on the outside pieces that just dressed all in black and just stand there.
Or the smiley one where they're all sitting on the block. Like,
You remember the JJ one?
Oh,
he
yeah.
looks like JJ. He looks like JJ.
Yeah, it was super good. And yeah, back to what you were saying, Diddy. Dr. King, he didn't make it to 50. Malcolm X didn't make it to 50. Fred Hampton was 21. Like,
It's crazy.
That's young.
he always inspires me. Or I don't even know if it inspires
Same.
me as much as makes me feel like, what am I even doing?
Yeah.
He's raising up revolutions and feeding children and bringing gangs together.
Elias was like, "Why aren't you dead yet? You must not be doing enough on the podcast." And I was like,
Did say that. I forgot that he said that.
so brutal.
But it is low key a true thing if you think about it. Like, people that tell too much truth, you have to be some kind of leader to do that. But as soon as that leader is there, God help us.
And you
to
start
get
saying
up and
stuff,
follow.
they're after you.
Yeah. You got to be ready to jump up and run after.
I agree.
And put in work, because it's
My
going to take
dad-
work.
Gonna be
And
easy.
it's, exactly, there's going to be, like, things we got to push through. It's going to be hard. It ain't going to be easy.
You're right.
Yes.
She was just, what are you doing?
My dad went to Kendrick's house where he grew up.
Are you so serious?
Just,
And he didn't bring
yeah,
us.
not yesterday, the day before.
And he didn't bring you?
I'm so
I'm
offended.
so sorry.
He was
Sorry
in
about that.
Compton.
Very offensive.
And he went all the way there? And he didn't even say, girls, do you want to come?
No, he didn't even offer.
Can we please have a moment of silence for this tragedy?
That was so short.
We had a moment. It was a moment. Well, that's super neat. I'd love to go see Kendrick.
But we did appreciate all the love for our video. Oh, we appreciated both, but
You know what? Yeah.
Yeah, because it makes you
I
think.
love
Right,
the
for
feedback.
sure.
I love when people talk.
I love the interaction. And our whole, better understanding of what African American means came from that. Because we're
It
like,
pushed
oh,
us. It
we
forced
had to go
us.
back and think about it. And
Right.
it made the whole conversation more important to us. Maybe because Brother Steph had written that a while ago, but maybe we wouldn't have cared as much.
Exactly.
But all of a sudden
And it wouldn't
was
have meant
super-
so much either.
Exactly. But all of a sudden it was super personal. We were like, hey,
We're up there like, and guess what else?
Guess what else?
Not the faces.
No, but it became very personal after that. And we're
I'm
thankful.
always getting our
But we do have extra appreciation for all the people that supported and loved and encouraged us, because that meant a lot too.
And the people who was in the middle. There were some people that are like, there were some friends who texted me on the side like, hey, yo, you know why they're mad, right? Right? And I was like, yeah, I understand.
As long as you're a friend.
As long as we continue to keep talking, that
leave the doors open.
Good.
We can't not talk about it.
If we start refusing to talk to each other, that's when there is no answers, no resolutions. We got to talk.
To me,
and
that
everyone
is the
has
worst
their
thing.
own opinion and doing their own thing.
But they're not trying to help.
We have to have a constructive conversation.
That is the worst thing when people try to jump out of the struggle. Be like, okay, well, I'm just not doing it. It's too hard. It's too complicated. It's too confusing. I'm too hurt. Like, as soon as you do that, okay, well, now we're really not going to get anywhere. As long as you stay in it, you might not always do everything right, but if we stay in it, we'll get somewhere together. Girls, thank you so much for coming back. That was super, super nice. I love having you. Kalea,
No, do not make that.
one
I was
day
definitely not as nervous
and
this
say
time.
something like, I am so sure about it. She doesn't believe it. We love the Harvard girls. They are our
We do too.
homies for real. They're like not even our age,
Side
but
eye.
we just like have fun together, really.
And it wasn't like, we low-key grew up together, but it wasn't till like,
Y'all moved
remember
here.
we used to always come to California when
And
y'all
spend
lived
like
there.
a couple weeks in the wintertime.
I didn't like coming there though because your dad was mean.
My dad was mean.
He squirted us with water.
He did squirt us with water to
Every
wake us up.
morning.
And it made us really unhappy. But remember, making candy was fun.
Oh yeah,
That
we
was
were
fun.
up to super late that night.
Yeah, that was
Cali's
such a good
super
activity.
nice.
I love California too. Okay, we have to go back there and like do a remember trip, right? Oh, we got a smile out of Kalea. Callie will do it. Callie will bring up the smiles. We appreciate y'all being here. Appreciate y'all watching. Appreciate all the interaction. It's been crazy, kind of life-changing in a way. Made us think a lot more about our lives and who we are, and made us more precise in our language, which we always appreciate. See you all in the comments. We would love to. Y'all know what time it is. Peace, love, and hair grease.
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 Grease and grease.